Hello, today I am going to walk you through 5 keys that help you to be consistent on social media. I find this incredibly ironic because right now I am super tired. I don't really want to record this video. I don't know if this is okay to say. And I have a meeting in a few minutes that I might be a couple of minutes late for, but here I am with on my list of things to do today, record a video on how to be consistent on social media. And so what I'm gonna walk through today are the 5 tips or keys or whatever you wanna call them that have helped us to publish content 52 weeks a year for the past 10 and a half years straight, sometimes most of the time multiple pieces of content. And I think this will be really encouraging for you. Take what's helpful, leave what's not. Definitely don't expect you to implement all 5 of these things, but I'm sure there's gonna be one that stands out to you and I would love to know what it is. So let's go ahead and jump into these 5 keys. Number 1, the first one is to define what consistency is. Consistency is a standard. It's not an aspiration. It's the idea of this is how we always operate. And when it comes to consistency on social media, a lot of the biggest mistake that I see is that people set like this really, really high aspiration. Like, I'm going to post every single day. I'm going to do 5 reels a day or whatever that really, really high number is. That's really the goal. And they don't have a standard down at the bottom. So like the standard that we have adopted over the years has been we publish a story post and a video on a weekly basis. Now, right now I'm in the middle of one quarter into 3 videos a week, and that's that's moving my standard up, and it's been pretty painful. But this is a standard that I'm establishing after 10 years of content creation. This is not the standard that I had when I first got started. When I first got started, it was actually just 1 video a week. And that was the standard, and that's what consistency meant. And that was something that I could do every single week, no matter what. Even if I was not gonna be able to record in 1 week, I could record 2 in 1 week, and that would be okay. And so what we wanna do is define what consistency looks like for our clients when they're starting off. We recommend 1 video a week, 2 written posts on their personal page as a standard for consistency. Now for us, 10 years later, you might be looking at what are we doing and what should you be doing. We are looking at 3 pieces of long form content a week, multiple stories. There's also 2 of us. Karen and I split the content creation. I do about 3/4 of it. She does 1/4 of it. And we also have a process that we fine tune over the years. And so this is gonna be different based on where you are in your business. But if you're first starting to establish consistency, I would not look at the people who've been established for a decade as what is the standard that you want to be if you're trying to establish consistency. So you can have your standard and then you can have an aspiration on top of that, but I always want to make sure you have a very, very clear standard of what consistency is, because if we don't have a clear definition of success, how on earth can we reach it? So that's number 1, decide what consistency is. Second, focus on the motion, not the quality. So when we start working with newer coaches or coaches maybe that have been doing this for a while, but are still not yet at 3 to 5 clients, they're really, really concerned with, does this content convert? Does this content, is it good? Is this the best possible way to do it? And I know that those questions are because quality is important to us and we want to be helpful, and I understand that's all coming from a good place. However, when we are beginners and we're trying to establish consistency, it is way more important that we put in the reps than that the reps are quality. One of a little snippet that I learned from James Clear that was just so helpful for me in my personal life and also as a coach is that beginners need to focus on execution, intermediates focus on strategy, and experts focus on mindset. The problem is when beginners start to try to focus on their mindset when really they just need to go through the reps. About a year ago, I started taking strength training more seriously. And some days I was like, I don't feel like doing it. I'm not lifting very much. I'm so tired. But what I was committed to was just the motion of going twice a week. Twice a week was a standard that I could do because I have 2 days of basketball. And then, there's other things in my life that need to happen. And so 2 days was good. I know 3 days is better. I know 4 days is ideal, but 2 days is what I can do consistently. And I've been able to do that most weeks if I'm not traveling. 2 days, but I'm just going to show up. Now I'm at the point after a year where I am like really building my strength and getting stronger. But it took that time of just establishing consistency and going through the motions. So when you're looking at your social media posts, worry less about how good the post is and more about, did you do one, and are you going through the motions of consistency? The third is, this one is a mindset thing, and this is just so we don't get tripped up in perfectionism. When I am looking at a piece of content, I am not looking at perfection, like, is this a perfect piece of content? Is this going to go viral? I'm actually just asking myself, is this going to be helpful to at least one person? So right now, while I'm feeling tired, and maybe this isn't my most energetic video and my lighting isn't great, it's kind of hot in this front room that I decided to record in, I'm pretty confident this video has the potential to impact at least one person. That's the thing that gives me the confidence to step up. If I'm like, is this going to help everybody? Does this matter, right? These are all the wrong questions and they're going to send me into a spiral. But if I'm asking myself the question, is this going to be helpful to at least one person? Whether or not I'm tired and have bad lighting, then I'm going to go ahead and record it. And that helps me to move into action. The fourth is a writing thing. And this is brainstorming and editing or writing happen at different times. So the way I think about my content is I look at a topic that I need to talk about. So this topic that we're on is social media. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down all the things that are hard for people on social media. So we have being consistent, being authentic self. We have what do I even post, some of the mindset stuff, right? So I make a list of all the things that are hard. And then I'm going to just draw an arrow and be like, what are the things that I can make content about? And so I make a list and I set that list down. I'm not going to try to write all of it right there unless I start to hit flow and it comes naturally. But the brainstorming of 4 or 5 pieces of content really helps me to be consistent. If I think narrowly, like what's one social media thing I can do, like my brain is trying to brainstorm and edit, and our brain cannot actually do that at the same time. It's impossible. This is why it feels like overthinking, and it's not overthinking, it's actually we're malfunctioning our pure sweet brain that we need in order to do the job. And so once a month or once every other week, I'll just make a list of all the things I could potentially post upon based on what's hard for the people that I'm trying to help, and come up with a bunch of ideas, and I set them down, and then it creates an open loop in my brain. So then my brain is like, oh, that's an idea I can talk about, or that's an idea I can talk about, and it's easier to write the content as the month goes on. I also try really hard to have appointments for this. So right now this is an appointment to record videos, and I'm just going to decide whether or not I'm going to show up for the appointment. I'm either going to show up or I'm not going to show up, and I want to be the kind of person who trusts myself, and the people that I serve can trust me. And so this then now becomes just an integrity issue of, I've written the thing, am I going to post it or not? Am I going to record it or not? Can I trust myself? And for me, that's a really high value. And so I'm going to do it, even though I had to message Karen that I'm going to be a few minutes late for our meeting. The fifth is to reuse what we call ancient wisdom. We call it ancient wisdom because my ego is really, really fragile. One day, several years ago, I was really busy, didn't have a lot of space to record content. And Karen said, that's okay. We'll just rerun some old S. And I was like offended. I was like, old stuff, right? This is my life's work. And she's like, oh, okay, sorry, baby, with your fragile ego. We'll call it ancient wisdom. And so now that's the big joke. We call it ancient wisdom. And so while I'm traveling for Haley's tournament and for a conference that I'm going to, we will probably run some ancient wisdom. And so my consistency over the past years allows us to go back in time, pull something that was helpful for people, pull it forward. And so even if I'm not physically here, physically recording, because we have been doing this for a while, we are able to reuse content. And so there are weeks where I just don't have it. I'm out of town, have a different priority. And so what we'll do is we'll just go back into the archives. We'll do a rerun or ancient wisdom. And people love those. They're like our greatest hits. You know, I've been going to a lot of concerts recently, and what I found really interesting is how a lot of people are like, the new stuff. Can you just play the bangers, the greatest hits, all of that. I went and saw Demi Lovato with Haley, and she was playing a lot of new stuff, and it was kind of like, eh. And then she busted out her top 5 songs, and everybody went crazy. And I think about that as a content creator, that I'm always creating new stuff, but actually what my audience probably appreciates the most are the greatest hits and replaying them over and over and over again. When Pink plays, Just a Pill or So What, I'm a Rock Star, people aren't like, oh man, I've heard this song before. They are just super pumped because they know this song, they know the words, it helps them feel confident and excited. And so we can do this in order to help with our consistency. And my thought on this is, if it's at least 90 days old, then I think it's good for a rerun. So I probably won't rerun something I did last week, but if it's more than 3 months, then it's good to go back in the rotation if it's something that people like. And so to summarize today, if you want to be consistent on social media, which I know you do, because why else would you be watching this video or listening to this podcast? Number 1, decide what consistency is. Number 2, focus on the motion, not the quality. Number 3, the mindset is if this encourages at least one person, it is worth publishing. Number 4, brainstorm and write in different sessions. And number 5, reuse your ancient wisdom. People will love you for it. I hope this was helpful. Just remember, take one thing, implement it into your business so that you can create content more consistently. The world needs your wisdom. They need your encouragement. They need your good vibes. They need your personality. They need your stories for inspiration. So let's go out and publish consistently. All right, bye.